First of all, thank you for coming. It's an
Absolutely.
honor to see you here. My biggest question for you is being an actor who has had a distinguished career, who has done many things in the civil rights era, seeing the president that we have right now and all the things that have taken place within the last 4 years, what is Bernie Sanders going to do in order to not only unite the country, but into making it better for all citizens?
Well, this is a campaign about that, bringing us together. That's all. This is a campaign that wants to deal with. We didn't deal with immigration when Obama was in the president. We didn't deal with it before that. No one said it's going to put on the agenda first thing immigration, because we're not even dealing with the immigration. We're talking about the immigration that's come from Honduras and from El Salvador and other places because of the dirty wars led by President Reagan. We talking about that immigration. We're talking about the violence that is happening in those countries, which has been unmanageable by governance because of what has happened before. You know, because remember that all these countries where these immigrants come had some sort of struggle in which they were struggling. The United Fruit Company, they were struggling in other ways of dominance in their own country. And so the result of that is that people aspire to find some other kind of way in which they can live and conduct their lives and everything. So we understand that. So we deal with immigration, okay? We talk about healthcare in a different way. We talk about education. One of the great, the Dewey, the great thinkers of public education, the beginning of the 20th century was what education can be. We've never reached that capacity. We've never reached it. There were glimpses of hope and moments and everything else. We can talk about education. I've been talking about education my entire life since I realized that I had problems reading. What is it? I had a wonderful teacher that came out of Beaumont, Texas. She was able to say, you have a strong, you're not comfortable with yourself in reading, but I see where you're comfortable yourself in math.
Right.
That direction in the 3rd grade gave me some sort of sense of value, gave me some sense of ownership or something like that. All those things. We can talk about education. How do we say? There was music in there. There was art in when I was there. Well, artists, there was all those things. How does that frame the whole human being? And that's what we're talking about. Education has to be about that. How does we frame the whole human being as a human being, and first of all, as a citizen as well? How do we frame that? That's what education. We're talking about education in a sense. And there people have been talking about it and writing about it. Bob Moses, who we worked with, Les Newport and I worked with extensively over the last 20 years. Right. Bob Moses and been talking about education and gives you another insight to education. He's not only talking about African Americans in education, he's talking about all Americans in education. Right. You know what I'm saying? So all these kind of terms we understand, as Bob Moses would say, that the path to education came through sharecropping education. Right. He used the term openly, sharecrop education. You know, that's what it was. You know, if my mama got got to school and got to college eventually, what happened? Why'd she get there? Because her parents, who had never been off the 3rd or 4th grade, decided that my children wouldn't go be cotton pickers. She sent them to school in September, because you don't pick when you're a cotton picker. You don't stop because you got to go to school in September. When the cotton's finished picking, you graduate. That's the story my mother told me. She graduates from Payne College in 1942. My mother. And I'm a whole lot of ground. So I'm sitting here, right here at this moment, because my mama didn't pick cotton in September. You can equate the same thing. I understand that each generation understands that there's also some leverage in there. My mother was the regional president of the National Council of Negro Women, knew Dr. Dorothy Height very well. Her chapter raised more money than any other chapter in the city, in the country, for the Mary McLeod Bethune statue that stands out right outside the office right now. That's from a woman who wasn't a cotton picker.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Get the connection. Find the connections. And this campaign is finding the connection. Finding the connections move us from this drastic moment that we're in. Climate change, global warming. It's real. Healthcare. And the fact that it doesn't cover the people that it needs to cover. That's real. Education, that's real. and finding ways in which we are able to pay people. He puts it right. He creates the crooks on Wall Street, put us in this what's called. The billionaires put us in this situation. It wasn't ordinary citizens that lost their property. I mean, that was the reason why they lost their property. And because of the kind of loan schemes and everything else they've used it for doing. All these are real things that have happened. We forget, sometimes we talk about 2008, but we forget about the loan scandal during the Reagan years. We forget about the saving the loan scandal. So all these things are there. It's about getting it, having an opportunity, because people demand it. Not only people here, people have been disenfranchised. Poor people here, working people here are getting beat up here. That's the truth. I don't care how many commercials you see to the contrary. It's reality here. I don't know how many cars they try to get you to buy. That's the reality of what it is. The question is, what do we do about it? Bernie Sanders, right at this moment in human history, this moment in history right here, our immediate history, is one of the greatest chances, opportunities for us just to move forward. Because the narrative changes, the dialogue changes. And you can see, when you call somebody a pathological liar, that sticks in your mind. Well, he is a pathological liar. I mean, and some people may say, well, he's just a liar. But no, he said a pathological liar. He defined the relationship as a pathological liar. Those are the kind of things that we have to make. And we have to take that in and say, what is the moment that I was in a hotel, picked up something, Mark Twain's statement. Mark Twain said, courage is the resistance to fear, the management of fear, but not the absence of fear. We got to now the courage. It's going to take courage on all of us. Those courage and say, let's play it safe. Let's choose Bloomberg. He's safe. Former Republican. Or let's say it's safe, play it safe with Biden and everything else. Look, whatever, we can trust Biden for what? Yeah, you can trust Biden, to start wars. You can trust Biden to do a lot of stuff, that you would have been happy with. But don't put the credit for what has happened in one administration when human history says that the demand is so strong for affordable health care that nobody could get away from it. The lie no longer can be sustained, and you have it, but it has to be better. It has to reach more. Once you begin to reach more, but power is always trying to dissuade in some ways. Power is always trying to diminish people's expectation. That's what power does. You don't deserve this. You don't deserve that. We prove that right here. We build it here, right here, something that we're entitled to and build here in Greenwood. That's Hills Hill. We've done it all over the time. Every time. With Reconstruction, who brought public education to the South for the first time? Those formerly enslaved Africans. Women's rights. Not only for black children, but for poor white children as well.
That's right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. I
All right.
appreciate